Nightlight on and clean pants at the ready, things are about to get spookums. Plenty of kids' games feature a horror-themed level or two, and there's nothing inherently wrong with that. These stages tend to be heavily stylized and feature your typical sheet-like ghosts, spooky, scary skeletons, and perhaps the odd creepy crawly, rather than anything genuinely terrifying. However, we all know that if you watch kids' TV for long enough, you'll eventually come across something that's either inadvertently creepy or a completely left field moment that is for all intents and purposes truly harrowing. And kids' video games also like to make these genuinely terrifying exceptions on occasion, as we're regrettably about to discover. Last chance to hide behind the sofa? No? Okay, I'm Peter from TripleJump, and here are 10 terrifying moments in kids' video games. Quick note before we start, this is Henry. He's 7 years old. When he grows up, he wants to be a fire engine, and in this video, we'll be defining kids' games as anything he could legally purchase from a shop with his sticky handful of coppers, i.e. this lot, which means we technically can't include this room full of dead orphans.
Why did you let us lie?
And I'm glad about it. Horrible. Okay, let's go. Number 10. The Inner ANDROSS, Star Fox 64. Here's a relatively gentle start, just to get your bowels warmed up. The Star Fox games aren't exactly straight-laced in their entirety. The very first installment had this trippy as hell secret area, home to a giant slot machine and a host of wobbly face planets, which was as eerie as it was devastatingly nauseating. But things were to take a serious step up in the form of the sequel's final boss fight and that of the 3DS remake as well. Andross is really no different than he was in the first game, still looks like Dr. Zaius, that is, until he transforms. Sufficiently chip away at his health bar and Andross's face will literally explode, leaving behind his still living brain, as well as a pair of eyeballs and a truly revolting mass of bibbly giblets. That's a medical term. It's gross, it's creepy, it probably stinks. It's our number 10. Number 9. The Fountain of Requiem, Zack and Wiki Quest for Barbaros's Treasure. Enter Zack and Wiki, whose online fandom database is inexplicably not called Zack and Wikipedia, so I'm very disappointed with us as a species and I think we deserve a second flood. Anyway, this pirate and monkey duo do what pirate and monkey duos do best, hunting treasure across all manner of whimsical landscapes, including, oh look, a spooky wooky one called the Bell Tower of Requiem. But don't panic, because Bell Tower of Requiem is surprisingly easy to complete if you know how to do it. The stage is easy. Alright, calm down, Zack and Wikipedia. It's true though, to be fair. Basically, all we have to do is dodge some ghosts, climb up here, ring the bell, and then the camera will pan down to this fountain and jeez, consult a physician, invest in some Optrex, Jesus, oh god, that was horrible. How are you doing, Henry? Oh, don't you cry too. Number 8. Lavender Town, Pokemon Red and Blue. The Brown Note urban legend purports that there exists a theoretical sound wave matching the resonant frequency of the human bowel that, when listened to, will make you plop your keks. MythBusters reckon they thoroughly debunked this back in 2005, but play me 6 seconds of this. And I'm on my second pair of the video. Pokemon can be surprisingly creepy for the franchise that brought us Eevee and other Eevee. Let's not even think about the girl in X and Y who's clearly some sort of lift ghost. But have any of the recent games ever managed to replicate the out-and-out eeriness of Lavender Town? I don't think so. It's not just this tooth-itching music that makes us uneasy here. Much of this area's creep factor comes from its huge tonal shift, as your fun-filled adventure battling rivals and catching em-all is stopped in its tracks with the revelation that yes, Pokemon die, yes, their trainers mourn for them, and yes, they can become ghosts. Specifically, the NPCs tell us about a little Cubone orphan whose mother was killed by Team Rocket, and if that's not disturbing enough for you, they'll also come out with stuff like, that white hand on your shoulder isn't real, and give me blood. Let's just switch that off and Never turn it on again. Okay. Number 7. Listen, Minecraft. I know I'm not alone in lamenting the fact that Minecraft has become a bit of a dirty word nowadays, thanks to its heavy association with preteen gamers and their dankest of memes. A worrying trend, I have to say. But I at least take a great deal of solace in the fact that the game can still boast something of the spooky quality that stretches right back to its earliest versions. That is to say, there are literal 5-year-olds out there playing this game for the very first time and getting massively frightened by the frankly brilliant sound design. I mean, the ambient cave noises alone are enough to slightly spook any new player who's not used to them yet. Then there's your first ever encounter with an Enderman who's inevitably going to gape his gob at you and say... But my most sadistic pleasure of all comes from picturing a whiny supermarket chocolate aisle tantrum-throwing urchin stumbling across this broken record, throwing down a jukebox in an exceptionally dark cave, and hearing the recorded sounds of a lost spelunker desperately fleeing some sort of terrifying force. Minecraft might now be seen very much as a kids game, but those kids aren't going to have a very nice time. Number 6. Mimi, Super Paper Mario. Super Paper Mario looks fine. Super Paper Mario looks fun. Then Mimi's neck snaps through a full rotation, she turns into a giant bug, and Henry starts bawling again. Shut up! Some would argue, though, that there's nothing wrong with this, that the graphical style of Super Paper Mario makes everything not scary by default, and no matter what hellish transformations you come up with, nothing could spook you in this art style, but I'm telling you, doesn't matter how many colours of the rainbow you're using, if insect appendages are growing and bones are audibly crunching, you're being creepy. Like, imagine if Peter Rabbit's arm snapped off and a hornet's arse grew out of the hole. Oh no, that's fine, because it's all done in watercolour, it's all art style, it's fine. You're an idiot. Number 5. Watchers on the Wall, Super Mario Galaxy 2. Oi, get down from there, you'll break your neck. Oh god, no, not you! Sticking with Mario for a moment, we're faced with what I can only assume is one of the more deliberate kids' game spookums. The temptation at the very beginning of Shiverburn Galaxy in Super Mario Galaxy 2 is to run forward. Standard 3D platform behaviour. I'd be inclined to agree with that strategy. However, turning to one side and looking up to the surrounding cliff tops before you set off reveals something that will only likely feed your desire to run off into the level as fast as possible, or just straight into the lava. These creepy humanoid figures that watch you from afar have never been referenced before or since in Mario lore, and I'd say that only makes them more unnerving. Data miners revealed that the file name for the texture used for these guys is Hell Valley Sky Trees, but when I told Henry that, he just cried even louder. Number 4. The Piano, Super Mario 64. I've just realised at time of recording that this is our 3rd Mario entry in a row, and while it was totally unintentional, I guess it at least demonstrates how disturbing this franchise can be, despite its happy-go-lucky facade. In fact, you really have to feel sorry for the first generation of players of Super Mario 64, who, until that point, had only really been exposed to his decidedly tame side-scrolling adventures, and probably didn't expect the piano in Big Boo's mansion to try to eat you! What the hell is going on? Piano lessons can be murder, said R.L. Stein. I mean, they can, but a good rule of thumb is not to sit down and tinkle the ivories of an instrument whose official in-universe name is Mad Piano. I mean, I say rule of thumb, but I guess you wouldn't have any left. Number 3. The Vortex Queen, Echo the Dolphin. Allow me to introduce Mr. Thalassophobia. Many of you may have already met. Fear of the vast emptiness of the sea, or the idea that its vast emptiness can hide a multitude of enormous, horrifying monsters. Giant video game sea creatures and lake monsters are just the goddamn worst thing ever, to be frank. Indeed, so many games have these sorts of beasties, including those aimed at children, that it was pretty difficult for me to pick just one. Should I have chosen the giant tentacle that completely ruins your day if you go out of bounds in Splashdown? Maybe that borderline jump scare of a first look at Banjo-Kazooie's Clanker and his big creepy grin. So much to choose from, but once again the spot goes to another giant tonal shift of an otherwise quaint and innocent game. Level after level, your time with Echo the Dolphin is exactly the sort of fun fest you'd expect from something with this box art. Then you encounter the final boss. Who okayed this? Who okayed this? Who okayed this? The final boss of Echo the Dolphin should be a Japanese tuna fish trawler or the SeaWorld Board of Directors. But no, it's this, a giant undersea alien so traumatizingly unexpected that you'll even avoid the bathroom for a week, let alone the ocean. Not ideal really, because we've got 2 scares left and the bathroom might be exactly what we need. Let's see. Number 2, Monster Ock, Spider-Man. In the USA, the PS1 and N64 Spider-Man game was rated E for everyone, which it says here means content is generally suitable for all ages, may contain minimal cartoon fantasy or mild violence. Yeah. Now, I'll admit, this might be one of the least terrifying entries in this list from the point of view of an adult, but keep in mind that back in 2000, old women the world over were saying to their 5-year-old grandchildren, "Oh, you like Spider-Man, don't you? Look what I've got you for your game station machine." Not so scary for a grown-up, maybe, but to Henry, this completely invincible hybrid of Carnage and Doc Ock, designed specially for this game, who chases you down dark, winding twists and turns that you can't even see coming, well, let's just say that all of Grandma's presents were vetted by Dad from 2001 onwards. And number 1, Hyrule. Just Hyrule in general, the Legend of Zelda series. I mean, that, for starters. God, when you think about it, this list has come a long way since number 10. The moon in Majora's Mask is categorically not for everyone, Mr. S-Herb. In fact, when the game was re-released for the 3DS, the age rating actually went up slightly to 10+, because of course it did. What were they thinking? And that's just the start. Sticking with Majora's Mask for a minute, let's just remind ourselves of the worst ever episode of Stars in Their Eyes, when tonight, Matthew, Pamela's father is going to be your worst chuffing nightmare! It's not just the teeth and the bandages and the groaning, but the idea that this used to be a sentient man. And though you'd be forgiven for thinking that this game is as harrowing as it gets, you'd also be, well, wrong. Let's just shuffle over to Ocarina of Time for a moment, Daddy Gibdo, because Dead Hand wants a spooky dick measuring contest. The general appearance alone ought to be the worst thing about Dead Hand, with his bloody bandages and weird face. But, in fact, Henry, you better close your eyes for a minute, because this is how Dead Hand walks. Okay, yeah, no thanks. If anyone wants me, I'll be voluntarily putting my head in here. And that's our list, but let us know in the comments if we missed anything out. You can follow myself and TripleJump on Twitter here, and if you want to support the things you enjoy, then check out the rewards on our Patreon. Finally, don't forget to like the video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to the channel. I'm Peter from TripleJump, don't have nightmares, and thanks for watching.